is that, you know, the Lord gave my word and I. I'm gonna start here. The Lord gave my wife and I a word um, right after we got married. We had maybe been married for about a year or two, and the Lord gave us a word, and He said, "Don't settle, build." Right? Don't settle, build. And at the time we were looking for housing. We had an apartment, right? We even had, I think at this point we may have had our first house, right? And the word just kept coming, don't settle, build. And everything that we were doing, we were just trying to remain encouraged to not settle, right? Not to get complacent, but to build, to keep pushing forward in all things, all right? And one of the things that we have always tried to do in any house that we have owned, and any house that we have lived in, and but especially the ones we've only ever lived in houses that we're able to um, make changes to. You know what I mean? Like when you're renting somebody else's house, you can't make too many changes because you have to ask for permission in order to do things. But um, in our first apartment, we didn't have to make any changes because it was a newly renovated apartment. And so because it was newly renovated, we did not have to make any sort of changes. It was already nice. It was good. Were there changes we would have liked to have made? Yes, but we made do with what we had. All right. So pushing forward, then we're in our first house, and then it was an older house, right? And there was a lot that needed to be updated, not that needed to be changed, that needed to be done, and we started drawing up plans, right? Started drawing up plans on how we could fix it and renovate it and do it. Even currently, the house we're in, same situation. We moved into it. A lot of things needed to be fixed and updated and all that, and we've been able to do most of those, right? Still a few things that need to be done, right? But in our life together, one of the things that has been so very um, evident to us is that we have to know how to build, right? And the reason why this sermon by Bishop T.D. Jakes is so impactful is because what we are trying to do, or what I am learning to do, is to build with the mindset of expansion. You see, oftentimes we in these neighborhoods, all right, in these neighborhoods that, especially these newer neighborhoods, they build these houses so close together, right? That there's no room, even if you wanted to expand your house or add on to your house, there's no room to do so. But if you're going to build for expansion, right, you need more space, right? You maybe start off smaller with the space that you have allotted to you, or the space that you can occupy at this time, and then you start smaller so that you can add on. But everything that we do, right? Everything that we do as we are building, I think it's so very important that we keep in the mindset that I'm building on this level now because this is where I am. This is what I have. But as I get older, as I get better, as I get more stuff, as the Lord promotes me, I need to be able to expand. And so when we build, right, and I'm talking in the spiritual as well as in our physical, we need to build for expansion, right? Uh, we are currently in the process, right? Let me just say it this way. We are currently in the process of relocating, right? And in the process of relocating, we have set ourselves up in such a way that if we needed to expand, if we wanted to expand, we could, right? We've built in such a way to where we start off, in this size of an area. But if we need to grow, right, as the station and other things grow, we're able to expand. So I want to encourage you, when you start building relationships, start building those relationships maybe on a level that you're able to manage. Start building those relationships maybe on a level that you're able to handle. And then as you get, better, as you get stronger, as you get wiser, as you get more resources, then you can build bigger on what you already have. Again, as I talk about building for expansion, and again, this is just a recap. I'm about to move on to the next thing. One of the things that I recognize and I realize as we talk about building for expansion is anytime you want to learn the piano or if you want to learn, um, certain things, they always start you off with the basics. And let's say in the piano, it's the first eight keys, right? In that first scale. So they may put you in the note of C. They'll teach you, right? The all the notes and everything within C, and you'll be able to learn your scales, right? But then as you begin to grow, they'll begin to show you the wheel of fifths, I think it is, or however that goes, right? And so what you've mastered in the first eight keys, then you find out when you go up an octave, it's the same thing. And you find out that, it goes from do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? That, right? And that's in the keys on the piano. That's the same in your vocals, right? Once you go from that, you take it up a level and you build on what you already have. And it's the same concept in every area and aspect of your life. Start on the basic level, but build for expansion. Don't limit yourself to how far, how high, how wide you can go just because of where you are now. It's okay to recognize this is where I am now, but this is not where I'm always going to be. So when I begin to grow and do things, I'm going to progress in such a way that I can build upon what I already have. Build for expansion. Always keep in mind that where you are now may not be where you're going to be next year, may not be where and you'll be able to do more next year. So you'll be able to build more next year. You'll be able to grow more next year, right? Okay. Now, that was what we talked about, or the sermon we listened to Monday and Wednesday. Now, on Tuesday, right? On Tuesday, we listened to a sermon by Reverend Leo Daniels entitled As the World Turns. And I want to tie what he was talking about into the building for expansion. See, again, as we begin, he talked about in that sermon that there's so many things that begin to happen as the world turns. As the world turns, whether it be in a one day or the 365-day rotation of the world turning. Basically, the world turning is a symbol of time passing. Not just a symbol, but it is a catalyst of time change. It is the time changes. I'll say it this way because the world turns. So as the world begins to turn, as things begin to happen, right, and we go through the full year cycle where the Earth has then made a full rotation, right? If we look at the full turning cycle where we go from day to night and day to night, right? The weather. So whichever cycle it is that we're looking at, I want you to understand that in that process, life is happening. Right, you're building, you're going from one phase to the next phase. Reverend Leo Daniels said that as the world turns, it's one person's. It means a new job for one person, and it means the loss of a job for another person. It means a marriage starting for one person and a divorce for another person as the world turns. But here is the glorious thing about it, that as the world turns, we understand, and this is what Reverend Leo Daniels said, is that God is still in control because In the beginning, right? In the beginning, whenever the beginning of time was, right? He said, "Let there be." There was, and it still is. He said, "Let there be light." There's still light. He created, right, this earth, and he set it on its axis, and he set it on a course, and began to spin it, and it began to stay, and it still stays in its course. It still sits on that axis. It doesn't matter if however whoever you want to try to wobble it, whatever. That's according to how God has it, and God hadn't changed his mind from the first day. So there is not a whole lot that has changed about the earth and the pattern that it flows in, the things that it does, because God set it in motion. So then what I'm trying to get you to understand is that as God begins to speak into your life, if God gave you a word that you would see such and such in your life, that this would begin to happen in your life, then as the world turns, know that you're the things will turn in your life because God said it. And if God said it, then it has to come to completion. He said that his word would not return unto him void. So then, with such being the case, if God said that you would be the head and not the tail, that you would be above and not beneath, that you would be a lender and not a borrower, that you would be blessed in your going out and blessed in your coming in, blessed in the field and blessed in the city, blessed in, if he said that, but you don't see that yet, keep on building. And I promise you, you'll see that. Because as the world turns, it'll begin to happen for you. As the world turns, these things will come to fruition for you. But nothing will come if you just sit back on your laurels, right? If you do nothing, you get nothing. Nothing into nothing equals nothing. Am I right about it? If you put nothing into something, you can't expect to get something out of it, right? No, you have to put something in to get something out. That's the law of reciprocity. Give and it shall be given, right? For with the same measure that ye meet shall God cause men to give unto your bosom. So then, as the world continues to turn, what seeds are you sowing? What things are you doing? How are you building and growing so that when the world makes a full rotation, right? 365 days from now, you can say, all right, I'm better off than where I was last year. I've got something more going for myself than I did last year. Yeah, last year this time, boy, I I didn't have it together, but I may not have it completely together. But I'm better this year. I got a little bit more knowledge and more sense, and I got more money in the bank, or I've got a brand new house, or I've got brand new. You know what I mean? If you just keep living, but while you're living, you're building, then you will begin to see the results. And then finally, the last sermon that we listened to on yesterday was by Pastor Mike Todd, and it was entitled "Planted, Not Buried." Planted, not buried. Right? And I want to encourage somebody out there today. I want you to know that you have been planted by God. I know you've got a whole lot of stuff piled up on top of you. But can I help you to see that both planting and burial look like the same thing? They really do. Burying something, in the case of putting, something has died, you bury it, right? Looks a lot like planting because you dig a hole, you put it in there, you put whatever it is in there, right? And then you don't see anything happen for a while. The difference between being buried and being planted is what you have on the inside of you. That drive, that force to keep on building, right? To build for expansion. See, the seed, when it is planted, is building for expansion. Unlike the person who is put in the ground and buried, there's no more expansion for that body, right? That body begins to decay because there's nothing on the inside of it, right? Because what the spirit man that was on the inside of it has now exited that shell, right? However, the seed has something on the inside of it. It has dream, it has possibility, it has the memory or the knowledge of what it came from, right? The seed came from a flower or a plant, and it said, okay, if I came from that, then I can become that. And for many of us, if we came from God, if we came from goodness, if we came from, right, then that means we can get to. You've got God on the inside of you. If your mom, your dad, they had a vision, a plan, a dream for their life that they saw only a glimpse of, a portion of, then that means that you came from them. So that means you can get to that place and even beyond and even greater because you are being planted and not buried. But you've got to keep on living and keep on digging and keep on building for expansion. That's the word of encouragement for you on today. All right, I told you I just wanted to recap some of the sermons that we listened to on this week. Nothing fancy, nothing deep, nothing. I just want you to understand that if you'll put some work into it, it'll work out for you. It absolutely. There is nothing in this life that if you don't work it, you can obtain it. Again, let me clean that up a bit. There are some things in life that you're just not going to be able to have. Let's say you see this person over there, and you like their spouse, and you say, "I want their spouse for me." Right? That's not necessarily the will of God, right? You know, no, you go find you another single person, you make that work, right? Don't be breaking up, especially if it's a happy, right, marriage. I get it, and I understand, and I have to clear this up just because, um, and well, I'm not gonna go in there, but if the person is already going through a divorce, if they're already single, that's a horse of a different color, right? That's a whole different thing. They've been separated for a while, whatever, and you decide, hey, I want that person for me. I want to love them and treat them right. That's a whole nother thing than they married, happily married, or working in their marriage or trying to make their marriage work, and you come and insert yourself into it. Two totally different situations, right? But I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to make sure that if there's something that you desire in life, that if God has given you a vision and a plan for your life, go after it, work for it. Nothing comes from just sitting with your arms folded. How does Proverbs say it? Uh, Proverbs says it this way: a little folding of the arms, right? Um, Man, I really wish I could. Let me see here. A little folding of the arms. Anyhow, y'all look that up, right? Y'all look that up. Because that's 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 what I want you to know and to understand. There it is. It's Proverbs 6. All right, 10 through 12. I'm gonna read it for you real quick out of the New King James Version. It says, "Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that traveleth, and thy want as an armed man." Right? What is that saying? The more you sleep, the more you just sit back and you wait on stuff to, like, the less likely it is that you're gonna get it. Right? Your poverty is gonna come to you. It's gonna sneak up on you because you spending so much time, just sitting up. But notice, the more you work, the more effort you put into it, the more you see out of it. And you've got to do that. It's got to be that way. God will bless those who work. And yes, he does bless even those sometimes who just need a blessing because they can't work or whatever the situation is, and they're like, Lord, I need a blessing. But you ever seen somebody just sitting around, they always praying for a blessing, but ain't never doing nothing? How long have they been praying and waiting on a blessing? These are the questions and the things I'd like for us to consider. All right. All right, friends. All right. Let me go ahead and back on all the way out of that because I don't went a little further than what I planned on going. All right. Friends, I pray that this word of encouragement has blessed you on today. Um, yeah, yeah. Again, this was just a recap. This was just a recap, and keep in mind the words of Proverbs 6. All right, Proverbs 6. I like Proverbs 6. Excuse me, and I want y'all to check that out. All right, all right, friends. All right, all right, all right. Well, let's go ahead and do this. I want to get back into the music. Um, Matter of fact, I want to play this song for you. I think it's a very fitting song, and it's actually one that I played for you this week. I told you we're doing kind of a recap this week or today of music that I played during the week, and so I want to play this song for you. It's by Jessica Reedy, and it's simply entitled "Moving Forward." Right here on the I Am Encouraged radio show on 93.5 KPPM King Power Praise Music and Shabbat Radio.